Welcome to Creepy Night Tales, your home for dark and chilling stories. If you love horror, hit subscribe and never miss a scary tale. Stay tuned, tonight's story begins now. The Boy Who Refused to Give Up. In a small dusty village far away from the noise of big cities, there lived a boy named Ion. The village had broken roads, weak electricity, and people who had accepted their fate. Among them, Ion's family was one of the poorest. Their house was made of mud, with cracks in the walls and a roof that leaked every time it rained. At night, cold winds entered through the broken door, and sometimes they had nothing but water to fill their stomachs. Ion's father worked as a daily laborer, carrying heavy bricks under the burning sun. His hands were rough, his back always bent, and his eyes filled with silent pain. His mother stitched torn clothes for people in the village, earning just enough to buy flour. Ion was only a child, but life had already made him strong. Every morning before sunrise, while other children slept peacefully, Ion woke up. He would help his father, carry tools, clean places, and sometimes work at a small roadside tea stall. His hands were small, but his responsibilities were big. Other children went to school wearing clean uniforms. Ion watched them from a distance. His clothes were old, his slippers broken, and his school bag didn't even exist. But inside his heart, there was something powerful. A dream. He wanted to study. He wanted to become something. He didn't know exactly what, but he knew one thing clearly: he didn't want to stay poor forever. One day, while working near a garbage pile, Ion found an old torn book. It was dirty, half-burned, and missing pages. But for him, it was like treasure. He picked it up carefully, cleaned it, and took it home. That night, under a weak candlelight, he opened the book. He didn't understand everything, but he tried. Slowly, word by word, he started learning. His eyes burned, his body was tired, but his heart was awake. Days passed like this. Work in the morning. Learning at night. People laughed at him. "Why are you wasting time?" they said. "People like you don't succeed." "Dreams are for rich people," others mocked. Ion never replied. He stayed silent. But deep inside, he said to himself, "One day, I will prove you wrong." Time tested him. One day, a local school announced a test. The winner would get free education. It was Ion's chance. He studied harder than ever before. He skipped meals, stayed awake at night, and practiced every question he could find. The day of the result came. His name was not there. For a moment, everything stopped. His hands trembled. His heart broke. He walked away quietly and sat alone behind a tree. Tears rolled down his face. For the first time, doubt entered his heart. "Maybe I am not good enough," he whispered. But then, he remembered his mother's voice. "Never stop trying, my son." He wiped his tears. That failure did not break him. It built him. From that day, Ion changed. He became stronger, more focused, and more determined. He started learning from everyone. He helped other children with their homework, and in return, they shared their books with him. He observed, he practiced, he improved. Months turned into years. His hard work started showing results. One afternoon, a teacher from the city visited the village. He noticed Ion sitting on the ground, solving difficult problems with a piece of chalk. The teacher stopped and watched him carefully. "Who taught you this?" the teacher asked. Ion looked up and replied softly, "Life taught me." The teacher smiled. He decided to test him. Ion answered every question. Every single one. The teacher was amazed. He saw something special in that boy, something rare. He offered Ion a chance to come to the city and study. It felt like a dream. But dreams are never easy. Money was still a problem. Ion's father was worried. The family had nothing. But Ion stood firm. "This is my chance," he said. "I will not let it go." With hope and fear mixed together, his father agreed. The journey to the city was not easy. Life there was harder than expected. Ion worked small jobs during the day and studied at night. Sometimes he felt exhausted. Sometimes he felt alone in the crowd of strangers. There were moments when he wanted to give up. But every time, he remembered his past. The hunger, the pain, the struggle. And he told himself, if I survived that, I can survive this. He kept going. Slowly, things started changing. His grades improved. His confidence grew. His hard work finally started paying off. Years later, Ion became one of the top students. He got into a big university. Then he got a good job. Then a better one. Success did not come overnight. It came with pain, patience, and persistence. The same boy who once had nothing, now had everything he dreamed of. But he didn't forget his past. One day, he returned to his village. People were shocked. The same boy they once laughed at had become a successful man. But Ion didn't come to show off. He came to give back. He built a school in the village. He provided books for poor children. He created opportunities for those who had none. One child asked him, "How did you do all this?" Ion smiled. "I believed in myself, even when no one else did. And I never gave up." His story became an inspiration. Not just for the village, but for everyone who heard it. Because Ion proved one simple truth. It doesn't matter where you come from. It matters where you decide to go. And if you believe in yourself, nothing is impossible. The boy who turned pain into power. In a small forgotten town, surrounded by broken streets and silent nights, there lived a boy named Zion. His world was not filled with comfort or happiness. Instead, it was filled with struggles that most people could never understand. Zion's house was tiny, made of old bricks that looked like they could fall apart at any moment. The roof had holes, and when it rained, water would drip inside like tears from the sky. His father used to work as a factory worker, but after an accident, he could no longer do heavy labor. His mother worked in different houses, cleaning and washing clothes, just to earn a little money. Life was hard. Very hard. Some days, there was food. Some days, there wasn't. But Zion never complained. Because deep inside him, there was a fire. A fire that whispered, "Your life can change." Every morning, before the sun even rose, Zion stepped out of his house. While other children were still asleep, he was already working. He delivered newspapers, helped shopkeepers, and sometimes carried heavy loads just to earn a few coins. His hands became rough. His feet were always tired. But his eyes were full of determination. Zion wanted to study. He wanted to go to school like other kids. But reality was different. He couldn't afford books, uniforms, or fees. One day, while passing by a school, he stopped. He stood outside the gate, watching children sit in classrooms, listening to their teacher. He didn't move. He just stood there, silently. From that day, he made a habit. Every day after work, he stood outside that school and listened to the lessons from the window. He learned without being inside the classroom. People noticed him. Some laughed. "Look at him," they said. "Learning from outside. You think you'll become something." Their words were sharp. But Zion stayed quiet. Because his dream was louder than their voices. At night, under a weak streetlight, he wrote what he had learned on pieces of paper. He practiced again and again until his hands hurt. Days turned into months. Months turned into years. His knowledge grew, even without a school. One day, something unexpected happened. A teacher saw him standing outside again. Instead of ignoring him, the teacher walked toward him. "Why are you always here?" the teacher asked. Zion lowered his head and said, "I want to learn, but I can't afford school." The teacher looked at him carefully. There was honesty in his voice. There was hunger in his eyes. The teacher decided to test him. He asked a few questions. Zion answered them. Then more questions. Zion answered again. The teacher was shocked. "How did you learn all this?" Zion replied softly, "By listening, by trying, and by not giving up." That day changed everything. The teacher helped him get admission in the school. For the first time, Zion sat inside a classroom. For the first time, he held new books. For the first time, he felt like he belonged. But the journey was not easy. Now he had to balance work and study. Morning, work. Day, school. Night, study. He was always tired. Sometimes, he fell asleep while reading. Sometimes, he felt like quitting. But every time he felt weak, he remembered his past. And he said to himself, I didn't come this far to give up now. Years passed. Zion became one of the best students in school. His teachers were proud. But life tested him again. One day, his mother fell seriously ill. The little money they had was gone. Zion had to make a choice. Leave school, or continue. It was the hardest moment of his life. For a few days, he stopped going to school. He worked day and night, trying to save his mother. But deep inside, something felt broken. One night, he looked at the sky. Tears rolled down his face. I can't lose my dream, he whispered. The next day, he made a decision. He would do both. Work harder than ever, and continue his studies. He reduced his sleep. He increased his effort. He pushed himself beyond limits. Slowly, things started improving. His mother recovered. His studies continued. And his strength grew stronger than ever. Years later, Zion passed his exams with top grades. He got a scholarship. He moved to a big city. There, life was even more challenging. New environment. New people. New struggles. But Zion was no longer afraid. Because he had already fought bigger battles. He studied harder. He worked smarter. He stayed focused. And one day, he succeeded. He got a great job. A stable life. Respect. The boy who once stood outside a school now stood at the top of his journey. But his story didn't end there. He returned to his town. He built a learning center for poor children. He made sure no child had to stand outside a classroom like he did. One day, a young boy asked him, "How did you become so strong?" Zion smiled. "I turned my pain into power. And I never stopped believing in myself." His story spread far and wide. Because it carried a powerful message. No matter how hard life is. No matter how many times you fall. If you keep going. If you keep believing. You can change your destiny.